Hello, everybody. All right, so welcome to the Mikestand. Today is Monday, January the 13th, 2025. Hopefully, we'll be able to get through the whole. We'll get through the whole show without any technical difficulties, unlike last night. With that being said, of course, we're gonna give people a chance to come in. Hopefully, everybody's had a good weekend. Before we talk about what's on tap for tonight. So, let's see. Watching some cartoons earlier. A couple of Betty Boop cartoons. One in which she was, you know, running her own lunch counter, where she was specializing in making wheat cakes. Another one where it was a Screen Songs one featuring Lillian Roth. Couple frog cartoons. All coming out towards the end of August of the latter half of August of 1932. So, dub 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 dub. That's what the frog theme song. All right, so let's see. All right, so let's see. So we're now just after 2 minutes. So let's see what else. What else? Well, as many of you know, we last night, of course, I had Metal on, and I thank Metal for being able to hold down the fort while I was trying to figure out what in the world was going on. I think something happened. I think it was something more to do with StreamYard than anything else, because apparently, even when I switched to other sites on the tab, everything was fine. It was just something to do with the connection with StreamYard, apparently. But anyways, let's see now. Actually, let me go off camera here for a quick moment. I'm gonna put some music on while I'm away. I'll be right back, and then when I come back, I'll go ahead and get into what's on tap. All right, I'm back. All right, so now we're at just 4.5 minutes, coming up on 5 minutes. So I'll talk about what's on the. So I got a couple of stories I'm going to go over tonight. One of which, including some people saying a questionable decision being made by Sony in order to in reviving the Crunchyroll manga app. Um, Also, we'll be looking at a comics article from Bleeding Fool talking about how some people are saying that the new Lantern may be taking stuff from the Sorrow, which I guess is another property. So Also, of course, we'll have the wrestling wrap up. We'll get caught up on all the latest news, as well as look ahead to tonight's. Look back to Friday's SmackDown. And look back at the weekend's activities from WWE SmackDown, AEW's Collision. Also, of course, look back to the Battle of the Valley event that took place in San Jose for New Japan Strong. We'll be looking ahead to tonight's Raw, talking about some other little news tidbits coming up as well, and then we'll also have the This Day in Each History segment. Look back. So, anyways, let me just do one more quick thing here, and then we will get started. And just a friendly reminder, of course, if you haven't already, if you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I will try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So with that being said, why don't we go ahead and get started with the show here. So let's see now. Alrighty then. So let's get started here, and we'll talk about. So Sony makes questionable decision to revive Crunchyroll manga app. Article by Nerdigans Inc. published January 11th, 2025, which was this past Saturday. So let's go ahead and take a look. The future manga is here, according to the hot off the heels after former employees and distributors exposed Crunchyroll's corrupt management, the streaming platform is relaunching the Crunchyroll manga app. Announced during Sony's Consumer and Electronics Show press conference, the revived app will give premium members access to Crunchyroll manga digital library of series from multiple publishers. Originally launched in October 2013 in over 170 countries, Crunchyroll manga gave subscribers access to a vast library which consisted of several titles such as Hiro Mashima's Fairy Tail and Atsushi Okubo's Fire Force manga. As part of Kodansha's Simulpub program, the app hosted popular ongoing series including Ken Akamatsu's UQ Holder and Nakaba Suzuki's Seven Deadly Sins and sequel Four Nights of the Apocalypse. And again, if you haven't already, you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. I'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, continuing on here with the article here, Crunchyroll Manga offered a manga-only subscription, which gave subscribers access to its entire library. At the time of this writing, it is unknown if the resurrected Crunchyroll manga app will provide manga-only subscriptions or host simulpubs. Starting in 2018, Kodansha began pulling series that completed its serialization off the app. Ultimately, Crunchyroll manga met its demise in January 2023 when Kodansha terminated the beloved long-running Simulpub program in favor of creating their own digital manga app, K-Manga. On December 11th, 2023, 10 years after the app launched, Crunchyroll terminated their manga app. In a statement to Anime News Network, the streaming platform claimed they were discontinuing the manga app, saying as a part of Crunchyroll's ongoing commitment to providing fans the best experience around their favorite series, we will be sunsetting the Crunchyroll manga application on December 11th across web and mobile. However, fans looking to discover new manga adventures can head over to the Crunchyroll store, which now offers more than 17,000 manga across genres. Despite the popular digital manga apps like Shueisha's Manga Plus, Viz Media's Shonen Jump, and Viz Manga, Kodansha's K Manga, Comic Key, etc., current Crunchyroll president Rahul Perini is confident the revived Crunchyroll manga will be, in quotations here, quoting in parentheses here, premier online manga app that carries catalogs from renowned publishers, offering fans unparalleled access to the visionary works that inspire the anime we love, unquote. Quote, research shows that nearly 70% of anime fans read digital manga at least once a month, highlighting the immense demand for this medium, unquote. He added, quote, Crunchyroll manga will not only meet its growing interest, but also fuel the continued global popularity of anime and manga alike, unquote. The revived Crunchyroll manga launches later this year as a standalone app on iOS and Android in the US and Canada. All right, so now I don't know exactly why it was considered controversial. They didn't really say that in the article. Would have been nice if they'd kind of cleared that. I mean, granted, maybe they were assuming that people had kept up on it and knew why that was the case. But I guess, well, as a whole, Crunchyroll is probably not considered a very nice company, especially with their association with what was formerly known as Funimation. But and everything that went down with Vic Mignogna and all that. But with that being said, let's get ready to move on to the next piece of niche. I'm sorry, the next article here. We're going to head over to Bleeding Fool. Look at this article right here, and I believe this one's might be a little longer as we get into it. And again, a friendly reminder: if you haven't already, you can like and share the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and/or ask questions, and I will try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, with that being said, did DC's new Lantern swipe creator J.S. Earls the Sorrow? The similarities are striking. Article by Chris Bray, published January 11, 2025, which was, of course, this past Saturday. So let's see what Chris is talking about here. In the ever-evolving landscape of comic book lore, originality remains the cornerstone of engaging narratives and unforgettable characters. However, some recent events within the DC Comics universe have sparked a heated debate over the boundaries of creative inspiration and the potential for copyright infringement. At the epicenter of this controversy is independent comic book creator J.S. Earls and his character, the Sorrow, whose likeness is eerily similar to a new character by the publishing giant. And we're not just talking about the cape and cowl, a costume type as nearly ubiquitous in the superhero community. J.S. Earls introduced his creation, The Sorrow, to the world in 2003, with the character's first printed appearance occurring in 2005, the brainchild of collaboration between Earls and artist Darius D.F. Cole. The Sorrow is a profoundly poignant spiritual being manifesting in the aftermath of tragic events through the tears of their victims. The character's dramatic visual identity, featuring a white hood and cloak, set against a stark black body with a solitary tear descending from his left eye, has become emblematic of sorrow and loss. See if anybody's saying anything yet. No. All right. Feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, can you see the tears? Do you feel the pain? Will you stop the sorrow? The Sorrow's narrative trajectory began with its inclusion in anti-child abuse anthologies, initially published by Lulu.com in April 2005, and later transitioning into the realm of comic book anthologies under Shooting Star Comics banner. It should probably be under the Shooting Star Comics banner, I would think. But anyway, the character's compelling story was further developed in Starcross United #2, subsequently becoming a staple in various Starcross comic publications. Across many of their anthologies, I take it. Fast forward to the year 2024, and DC Comics presents a new addition to their illustrious Green Lantern series, the Sorrow Lantern. This character, initially revealed as Nathan Broom in the 13th issue of the revamped series, has drawn immediate comparisons to Earl's earlier creation due to the uncanny likeness in both name and concept. In this month's issue of Green Lantern Fractured Spectrum, #1, the Sorrow Lantern makes a fully costumed appearance. See screenshot below, in parentheses there. The superhero is also a being that derives its power from the profound well of sadness and despair. Now, granted, we all know that, I think, over the past, I don't know, it's like 20 years or so, they basically have played with the idea, that the lanterns represent the 7 main colors of the rainbow, and each color represents a particular emotion. So anyways, the superhero is also a being that. Okay, yeah, we read that part. A concept that resonates deeply with the essence of Earl's The Sorrow. The thing is about trying, it's a little bit more tricky here because, at least it would, it would seem a little more tricky here just simply because of the fact, you know, they have established that, you know, the lanterns do derive their powers from strong emotions. The red lanterns derive it from rage. Orange from avarice, right? Yellow fear, green will, right? Blue hope, purple love. So, the parallels between the two characters are indeed difficult to overlook. Nominal affinity. Both characters feature sorrow prominently in their titles. Power dynamics. Both entities are empowered by the energy of sadness and despair. Visual correlation. The sorrow's mask bears a tear, and the sorrow's lantern's chest emblem design bears the motif of a tear. Thematic convergence. Both characters are deeply rooted in tragedy and the emotional repercussions thereof. The thing is, though, is that all the lanterns are linked to emotion in some way or another. Each each color on the spectrum is represented by the lanterns and represents a particular emotion. So let's see now. All right. Let's see. The timing of these striking similarities could cast a shadow over DC Comics and the supposed originality of their Sorrow character. With Earl's The Sorrow having been a part of comic book lexicon for almost 2 decades prior, questions about the legitimacy of the new character's conception are unavoidable. The comic book industry is no stranger to derivative characters, but they typically derive new characters from their own previously established characters. This situation seems to cross the fine line between inspiration and infringement, and this particular case underscores the gravity of safeguarding the intellectual property of the independent creators amidst a backdrop dominated by powerhouse publishers. All right. The situation is a stark reminder of the importance of intellectual property rights within an industry, where creative boundaries are often fluid. All eyes in the indie comics realms will be on the potential legal ramifications and whether this will prompt formal dialogue between J.S. Earls DC Comics concerning the true genesis of these sorrowful superheroes. More on that below. A fellow comic creator, Nicholas Gear, who published his The Relentless Tin Soldier with Starcrossed Comics spotted the striking similarities right away and shared a tweet tagging the writer Jeremy Adams, which eventually caught the eye of DC Comics' legal team this week. Jay Kogan, the senior VP of legal affairs at DC Comics, soon reached out to Gear directly with the following message. Your tweet to Green Lantern writer Jeremy Adams regarding DC's Green Lantern Sorrow character has been forwarded to me. I can assure you that neither Jeremy Adams nor any editor or other person involved with the creation of DC's GL Sorrow character, or the writing or illustrating of any DC comic books featuring this character, ever saw, read, or were even aware of Star-Crossed comics. The Sorrow comic book or character, and therefore any similarity between the DC character and Star-Crossed comics character, is completely coincidental. That said, as a general rule, and in the interest of industry cooperation, we think it's best for comic book publishers to avoid having characters that readers find to be confusingly similar. We've searched online for more information about the Star-Crossed comics character, but have had little success finding information about the character beyond that the character appeared in Star-Crossed United number 2, and that he, in parentheses, or she, appears to be a character of color, but we found no other details about the character itself, such as background, powers, real name, etc. If you can send me more information about the Star-Crossed Comics character, or perhaps a PDF of a link to a published comic book issue featuring the character, we'd be pleased to take a look to see if there are any non-superficial coincidental similarities between our respective characters. That may be in both of our best interests to address going forward. This email is without prejudice to any of the DC rights, all of which we expressly reserve. Thank you for reaching out. Best regards, J. Kogan, Senior Vice President of Legal Affairs, DC, a Warner Brothers Discovery company. All right. Let's see now. All right. All right. Gear forwarded that email response to Earl's legal counsel, who are currently providing the links and the PDFs this weekend. I'll keep you updated as this controversy unfolds, as the outcome of this unfolding drama remains uncertain. One thing is for sure: it could cast light on the delicate balance between innovation and respect for original artistry in the world of mainstream comic books, which have struggled to remain original for years. Alrighty then. So let me go ahead now and see if there might be anything more. Well, more might catch my interest here before we consider going on to the wrestling wrap up here. Oh wait, oops. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, let's see now. As I can see if there's any other possible interesting stories here before we move on to. Hmm. Okay. Well, here's a man of a thousand barks. This is an interesting story here that I think I'll pull up here to take a look at for everybody. Oops, actually, that was actually the wrong thing there. Oops. Let me try this again here. This is what we were looking for here. All right, that was the one. So, anyways, let's take a look at this um, article right here. Meet the man behind your favorite dog, Scooby Doo, Scrappy, Astro, and more. The Man of a Thousand Barks, published today by MeTV Toon staff. All right, so I believe I know who this is, obviously. Let's see. If Mel Blanc is the man of a thousand voices, Don Messick is a man of a thousand barks because he voiced nearly all of the cartoon dogs during the golden age of animation after beginning his career in radio as a 15-year-old aspiring ventriloquist. He was told his Baltimore accent was too strong and to work on it before pursuing a radio career again. It's wild to think that a boy who was told his accent was too strong would go on to become one of the most prolific impressionists and voice actors Hollywood would have seen. He tirelessly worked at his craft, and one of his first entertainment positions was in the Secret Services branch of the military. Um, Messick joined in 1944, and for 20 months he performed for the troops after the war. He began his career in radio and eventually led to him being recommended for Tex Avery's Droopy series. Now, Don Messick, aside, of course, we talked about one of his roles, about a week or so ago. He was also Papa Smurf. He's been aside from the dog. They talk about like a lot of the dog characters he does, like Scooby Doo, um, Astro, Scrappy Doo. He even I think started out as Droopy there too. Um, but of course, he also did, of course, Ranger Smith and Boo Boo, I believe, in Yogi Bear. He lent his voice to a number of Hanna Barbera characters. Ranger Smith, as we said. Also, I know he was Ratchet and Gears on Transformers, so another couple there. Anyways, continuing on now with the article here, as soon as we get back to it. At MGM, Messick met the cartoon collaborators he would work with for years, William Hanna and Joseph Barbera. They also worked on Droopy, and when they formed their own animation studio, Hanna-Barbera Productions, they brought Messick along. Messick worked as a voice actor in 297 productions over the course of 47 years. Even though he played leading roles on many cartoons, he often filled in additional voices and sound effects. He did not retire until he experienced a stroke in 1996 in the recording booth at Hanna-Barbera. While we are unable to include any single cartoon character he played, these are some of the greatest hits of an incredible career and commitment to animation. Yeah, he had the stroke in '96 and passed away like a year later in '97, I believe. So, so that was kind of the thing there. Bam Bam Rubble, one of Messick's earliest voice roles, was playing the strongest toddler ever, Bam Bam. Messick had provided additional voices for the show since its first season, but became a full-time character in season 4 when Bam Bam joined the Rubble family. Yeah, they're probably focusing in more on some of his more regular characters, not just his additional voice characters. Boo Boo Bear. Messick originated the role of Yogi Bear's sleepy little sidekick, Boo Boo. Many fans thought that Boo Boo was Yogi's son, but it turns out they're just friends. And like a good friend, Boo Boo often acts as Yogi's conscience and encourages him to make wiser decisions. We see that quite a bit. Yeah, Boo is like the little tag along who hopes to keep Yogi out of trouble a lot of times. Ranger Smith, as I mentioned a few minutes ago. While Ranger Smith is the main antagonist of Yogi Bear, he's actually a very good park ranger. He does his job of protecting people and wildlife from each other. Dare we say he's a model conservationist? Conservationist. Messick does a great job of highlighting Ranger Smith's frustration and aggravation with Yogi, balanced with the understanding that the park is Yogi's home as much as it is Smith's responsibility. While Dawes Butler originated the role at first, Messick voiced Ranger Smith from 1959 until his retirement in 1996. Yes, that would take him. That would take him basically through a lot of projects that including Hey There, it's Yogi Bear in 1964, the movie. Of course, let's see. Some of Yogi Bear Christmas specials, including, of course, the one that you all know is my favorite, as I've talked about it so many times. Yogi's First Christmas. Casper's First Christmas. Well, actually, he wasn't. Ranger Smith wasn't in that, but Yogi's All-Star Christmas Caper, the new Yogi Bear show, Yogi's Treasure Hunt, all that. And again, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Mr. Peebles, of course, from the McGilla Gorilla Show. Speaking of balanced, annoyed performances, Messick also voiced Mr. Peebles of Magilla Gorilla. As a pet store owner, Mr. Peebles needs to sell Magilla Gorilla because Magilla is eating enough bananas to bankrupt Peebles. However, Peebles clearly cares for Magilla, which is why he always welcomes him back home after another owner returns him. It could be very easy for a voice actor to portray Peebles as a jerk, but Messick made him sweet, understanding, and a frustrated man in a difficult decision. Well, mind you, too. Here, obviously, here's the $1 million question: Why would a gorilla be in a pet store, right? Why wouldn't he be out in the jungle? But next up is Dr. Benton Quest, scientist, father of Johnny Quest from Adventures of Johnny Quest. So not all the humans Messick voiced were miserable. He voiced Dr. Benton Quest, Johnny Quest's father and world-renowned inventor and explorer. For his voice, Messick kept it simple and chose to use his narrator voice for Quest. Bandit. Oh, here we go. Here's one of his dog characters. One of the other ones that we didn't actually touch upon yet. Bandit. Bandit is different from the other dogs and cats Don Messick voiced because Bandit did not have human level intelligence. Most of the other dogs and cat characters kept up with humans and completely understood what they were saying. You see Astro giving George like a one-armed hug a lot of times. Scooby and Scrappy doing their thing. Bandit. Oh, hey, yeah, we saw that part. Bandit was different because he acted and sounded like a real dog. Bandit's behavior led to a lot of key plot moments, like barking at bad guys and exposing the position of a hiding Johnny and Hachi. A little tattletale. So-so the monkey. Not an anthropomorphic character. So-so is the only primate Messick voiced. Messick used a higher pitch with So-so that is similar to his approach to Shag Rug. The Shag Rug from the Hillbilly Bears cartoon. Of course, So-so was from Peter Potamus show. So Adamant. Actually, I thought this was Howard Morris who did Adamant, but now they're trying to say that it was Messick. Let's see here. Up and Adam, it's Adamant. Messick took over the role in season 2 after original voice actor Howard Morris abruptly cut ties with Hanna-Barbera after an alleged disagreement. Oh, okay. So he was a second season voice of Adamant. Okay. See, that was something I didn't know. I was under the impression it was always Howard Morris. But anyways, after this incident, Messick took over the role and later voiced Adamant for all appearances in movies, shows, and commercials. Like his appearances, I don't know what, might have appeared in like Yogi's Treasure Hunt, I think, but as far as I know. Shag Rug. There's the aforementioned Shag Rug right there. Shag Rug, also from the Adam Ant Show, Shag Rug was the youngest member of the Hillbilly Bears, and beloved little troublemaker of the group. Unlike his work with Boo Boo, Messick brought a rambunctious, childlike energy to Shag. Precious Pup, another dog here. Um, of course, starring opposite of, I believe, Janet Waldo is the one who provided Granny here. Precious Pup, one of Messick's many dog roles. Precious Pup was a mangy neighborhood terror of a dog who only his owner, Granny Sweet, voiced, as I said, voiced by Janet Waldo, the voice of Judy Jetson, could love. Unlike the other Messick dogs, he doesn't bark or talk much, but occasionally gives a wheezy laugh. The same wheezy laugh Messick used for Muttley in Wacky Races. Yeah, that was another common thing he did, was that wheezy laugh. He just started. Speaking of which, here's Muttley from, of course, Wacky Races and one of its spin-offs, Dastardly and Muttley and their flying machines. Speaking of Muttley, Messick voiced Muttley on Wacky Races and Dastardly and Muttley in their flying machines. Muttley's speech patterns are an interesting combination of Messick's other roles, Precious Pup, raspy laugh, and Scooby-Doo's speech impediment of replacing other consonants with R's. He often grumbled and says Rick Dastardly instead of Dick Dastardly. Professor Pat Pending, another character from Wacky Races. Another character from Wacky Races right here. Messick voiced a number of other characters on Wacky Races, including Professor Pat Pending, Sawtooth, Ring-a-Ding, Little Gruesome, and Gravel Slag. Pat Pending, I don't know if you guys picked up on how the name there, but it's like Pat Pending as in patent pending. Usually when you're trying to get a patent for something, it's usually pending. So that's where, Sawtooth, who was the beaver in the lumberjack driver. Ring-a-Ding, I'm not exactly sure which one Ring-a-Ding. Little Gruesome was part of the little horror wagon. And Gravel Slag was one of the Slag brothers. Slag brothers basically look like Captain Caveman. Sebastian. Here's a cat, one of his cat characters. One of Don Messick's cat characters here. Don Messick doesn't just voice dogs, he voices cats too. Sebastian is one of many fictional cats that Messick voiced. He voiced Alexandra Cabot's raspy, snarky little kitty on both Josie and the Pussycats and Josie and the Pussycats in Outer Space. Josie and the Pussycats. Scooby-Doo. Probably Messick's most well-known character. Scooby-Doo, perhaps his most well-known role. Scooby-Doo was a role Messick really brought to life. In an interview, Casey Kasem said, quote, I think Don got into the psyche of an animal. That dog was alive, unquote. Messick voiced Scooby from the first recording session of Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? In 1969, all the way until Scooby-Doo Mystery Video Game in 1995. Later, at a charity event in London, Messick performed all of his characters except for Scooby-Doo. He claimed that since quitting smoking, he no longer had the natural raspiness to do the voice properly. Scrappy-Doo. While Lenny Weinrib, who was the voice actor, was the first voice actor for Scrappy. Now, Lenny Weinrib, among other characters, also did Hunk from the I think the World Pants adaptation of Voltron, of Go Lion, Voltron. Messick took over the role in 1979 and voiced Scrappy in every Scooby-Doo production until 1988. After 1988, Scrappy did not appear in the Scooby-Doo universe again until the 2002 live-action movie, which sadly premiered after Messick's death. Rudy. Rudy is George Jetson's computer co-worker at Spacely Sprockets. Messick also voiced other robot and computers, including Mac, Rosie's boyfriend, and Uniblab. But out of all the robots, Rudy is George's closest friend and colleague. And I don't know, do you guys remember what Rudy stands for? Referential Universal Digital Index. They actually talked about it when the Jetsons. There was an episode of the Jetsons, I think it happened in the 80s, where the Jetsons and the Spaceleys were on a game show against each other. And George was able to answer the question to win the game. So, Astro. Of course, another character we've talked about already. Is Don Messick even on your show if he isn't voicing the dog, too? Messick put his canine skills to work. Astro, the beloved Jetson family dog, and George Jetson's best friend, Astro and Scooby-Doo sound very, very similar. But Messick actually voiced Astro first, starting in 1962 and continuing until 1990 movie Jetsons the Movie. Of course, voicing him also in the Jetsons Meet the Flintstones as well. Yes, because Astro came out in obviously the Jetsons started up in 1962. Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Came out in 1969. Papa Smurf, who we talked about last week when we were talking about or was it last week or maybe a couple weeks ago when we were talking about the Smurfs? From 1981 to 1989, Don Messick provided the kind, fatherly voice of Papa Smurf in the television show, specials, movies, anything else they needed. Papa Smurf's voice for. In the 2011 movie, The Smurfs, the role was taken over by Jonathan Winters, who had worked with Messick on the original show as Grandpa Smurf. And aside from, and another kind of interesting link between the two as well, not only did, and we talked about this last week when we were talking about the new Scooby-Doo movies, not only did Jonathan Winters do the voice of Grandpa Smurf on the Smurfs, he also guest starred as himself on an episode of the all-new Scooby-Doo movies. Azrael, another cat character. Another cat character here. Azrael, a less Smurfy character on the Smurfs. Messick put his paws up and his cat skills to work to voice Gargamel's irritable cat Azrael. Boo the cat. Another cat Messick voiced was Boo, the Revolutionary era ghost cat in Funky Phantom. The Scarecrow. Like many of his fellow Scooby-Doo castmates, Messick also joined the cast of Super... And that would make sense, because Super Friends was a Hanna-Barbera production, right? Originally starting up in 1973, of course, but from the version they're looking at here, we're talking more about his role on Challenge of the Super Friends in 1978, I believe. As a Scarecrow, Messick's Scarecrow really honed in on creating fear in everyone around him. especially Batman. If you haven't seen the episode The Fear, it's one of the best episodes of this. Now, I'm not exactly sure if he did that particular one. That was from the Galactic Guardian series. I don't know if it was actually Messick or because they were different. I believe he was, though, involved in the Challenge of the Super Friends one. So, but I could be wrong. One of the best episodes of the Super Friends, Messick's Scarecrow exposes Batman's weakness and fears nearly destroying Gotham in the process. So I guess they are saying that he was actually in that particular one. And there we go with that one. So, now that we're done with all that, of course, let's move right ahead to the wrestling wrap up, as we do have quite a bit there to go over too. Of course, going back to Friday night here, back to Friday night, and looking back to Friday Night SmackDown. On this past Friday night's SmackDown, saw Chelsea Green successfully defend the women's United States title against Misha. We do have some news on her in a moment. Some stuff's coming out over the weekend here. Los Garzas defeated Pretty Deadly in a tag team match, and the Motor City Machine Guns defeated A-Town Down Under, which, kind of an unofficial tournament to see who will challenge DIY for the WWE Tag Team Championships or SmackDown Tag Team Championships next, as trying to stir things up, with what some of the stuff that they've got, since Raw's Netflix debut. They're trying to, Nick Aldis put it out there for the tag team. Hey, look, you guys want a shot at the tag team championships? Go out and earn it. So, leading to somewhat of an impromptu, unofficial tournament, as it were, as since Los Garzas and Motor City Machine Guns both won their matches, they're now set to face each other this Friday night SmackDown to see who will go on to take on the champions. LA Knight, in trying to get the United States title back, defeated Shinsuke Nakamura via DQ in a match in which Nakamura was defending the United States Championship. And in a fatal four-way that was set up early in the night, as Tiffany Stratton was celebrating her title win over Nia Jax, fatal four-way to determine the new number one contender to the WWE Women's Championship. Bayley defeated Bianca Belair, Naomi, and Nia Jax after a miscue between Bianca and Naomi, who are also the current women's tag team champions as well. And then the main event saw Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga of the New Bloodline, or what have you, defeating Cody Rhodes and Jimmy Uso after interference from Kevin Sullivan, getting into a brawl with Cody, leaving Jimmy Uso to fend off a 2-on-1 assault from Fatu and before we do talk about what's happening on tonight's SmackDowns, so Chelsea Green came out of the weekend started talking about how the WWE locker room, the women's locker room there, was very supportive of each other. Um, Now that in of itself, of course, is not the controversial part, but what she said, after those comments was as she once again went after went after went after Tessa Blanchard, calling her a racist bully after a Twitter user, X user, tried to call her out for trying to push Tessa Blanchard to suicide. Now, we talked about it recently because particularly when Tessa got re-signed by TNA, Tessa was accused years ago, not just by Chelsea, but by a few others. Gigi Dolan, and I'm trying. Allison Kay accused her of bullying and making racist remarks towards. Well, Allison Kay was the one who accused her of making racist remarks. It was Chelsea and Gigi Dolan who accused her of bullying. Now Tessa has vehemently denied any of it. She's continually to vehemently deny that she bullied anybody. The accusations did lead to her getting fired from TNA back in 2020, but now, of course, she's back. And of course, but I think the fact that she's vehemently denying it does give credence to something that a lot of Blanchard supporters, and something I pointed out too here, have talked about, is that these women may just simply be making these accusations, trying to hurt, Blanchard's reputation to increase their chances of getting better positioning, and get opening more opportunities up for them by getting her out of the way. That has been, that's I've talked about that. I know others have also mentioned that. And one of the other things I talked about too, at least in Allison Kay's accusation, it's kind of a hearsay kind of situation, because she's saying that, she was saying that she saw it or whatever, but the person who the actual supposed victim of Blanchard's harassment hadn't come out and said it, because in Allison Kay's case, she was claiming that a Japanese female wrestler, that Tessa Blanchard had spat at a Japanese female professional wrestler and used racist remarks towards them, but yet we have no idea who the supposed victim was, because neither Kay nor the person who was the supposed victim has come out and said anything. So it's one of those press X to doubt kind of things, right? But there has been a lot of talk that WWE is possibly interested in bringing Blanchard in, much to, I'm sure, Green's chagrin, and maybe Dolan's as well. But then again, we haven't heard anything from Gigi Dolan. Maybe she just figuring maybe it's just better for her to be quiet about it, because first off, the TNA management feels that what they might gain from having Blanchard come in as a talent outweighs whatever potential heat she has backstage. And it seems like the heat seems to be coming more from the women's locker room, not as much as the men. I haven't heard anything from the guys saying anything about any of this. So, and remember, Blanchard was she wasn't just a former TNA Knockouts champion. She was a former TNA world champion as well. So you take that into consideration. Now, on tonight's Monday Night Raw, which will be on Netflix, coming from the SAP Center in San Jose, California. And kind of funny because San Jose is hosting quite a bit of wrestling over this past weekend. We'll talk about that in a moment when we talk about New Japan's Battle in the Valley. But on tonight's show, it looks like Chad Gable was set to go up against a mystery opponent. Sheamus is taking on Ludwig Kaiser. In the tournament final to crown the first ever WWE Women's Intercontinental Champion, Dakota Kai of Damage Control takes on Lyra Valkyrie. And in a street fight, Finn Balor takes on Damian Priest to hopefully try to settle their issues. So now with that, of course, we'll get ready to go back and talk about what happened on this past weekend's Collision. On this past weekend's Collision. On Saturday night there. As on Collision, which was held from the Atkins Ford Arena in Athens, Georgia. The opening match saw Cope of rated FTR defeat Big Bill by referee's decision, choking him out with the bulldog choke of John Moxley. Pac defeated Pac defeated Commander. In a tag team match, Death Riders duo of Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta. Well, after they came out to try to attack Commander, then the Outrunners came out for their match against Death Riders and ended up starting that match. The Death Riders, of course, Castagnoli and Yuta defeated the Outrunners. In a non-title match, AEW Women's World Champion Mariah May defeated Harley Cameron in just under 10 minutes. Brody King, coming off of his performance in the Continental Classic, came out and reestablished his momentum just under a minute and a half, defeating Trevor Blackwell. Daniel Garcia defended the TNT title against Katsuyori Shibata and retained. And in the main event, saw in another non-title match, Chris Jericho, the Ring of Honor World Champion, defeating Dax Harwood, which eventually led to a massive brawl between the Death Riders, Learning Tree, Rated FTR, Powerhouse Hobbs, and the Outrunners, setting up for a potential 12-man tag match for next week's Collision, as I recall. So also happening this past weekend, of course. We'll talk. New Japan Strong held a show in San Jose called Battle in the Valley, which actually did see some AEW talents also on the show. Did I get there? Oh, yeah. The pre-show for Battle in the Valley, which happened again at the San Jose Civic Center this past Saturday. The pre-show saw a strong Survivor match, Zane J defeat Viento. And in the main event of the pre-show, the Mighty Don't Kneel duo of Bad Dude Tito and Shane Hayes defeated Fred Rosser and Matt Vandegrift. And then on the main show for Battle in the Valley, the main show saw the opening match saw Gabe Kidd successfully retain the New Japan Strong Openweight title against Tomohiro Ishii, going to a 30-minute draw. They're now calling themselves the World Class Wrecking Crew. Royce Isaacs and Jarrell Nelson retaining the New Japan Strong Openweight Tag Team titles over Roppongi Revice of Rocky Romero and Yo. In an 8-woman tag team elimination match, the team of Viva Van and three Stardom wrestlers known as Empress Nexus Venus of Hanako, Micah, and Mina Shirakawa, the same Mina Shirakawa who you've seen over the past few months in AEW, defeated the team of Anna Jay, Azumi of Stardom, Johnny Robbie, and Trish Adora. In a match for the New Japan World Television titles, El Fantasma retained via double countout over Jeff Cobb. They went to a double countout where they were each challenging each other to a no countout match the next time they meet for the title. In a match that was billed as Sumi Sakai's retirement match, Sumi Sakai teamed with the House of Torture duo of Evil and Show to take on Hiromu Takahashi, IWGP Women's World Champion Mayu Iwatani, and Yuka Sakazaki, in which Takahashi, Iwatani, and Sakazaki won the match. In a match for the never openweight title, Konosuke Takeshita retained over Kushida. In a non-title match, IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Zack Sabre Jr. defeated Hechicero of CMLL. In the main event, saw El Desperado retain the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title over Taiji Ishimori. So that's all we got for you in terms of the wrestling news. Wrestling wrap-up. So now what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to this day in each history. And with today being Monday, January the 13th, 2024, or 2025, let's take a look back at this day in each history. History! So, let me see here. All right, so first I'm going to head back 70 years ago. As on this date, 70 years ago today. On this date, 70 years ago today. The 10th issue of Little Dot from Harvey Comics went on sale on this date 70 years ago today. Sold for 10 cents for 32 pages. On this date, 70 years ago today, the 10th issue of Little Dot from Harvey Comics went on sale on this date 70 years ago today. Now moving ahead to 10 years ago today, on this date in 2015, Warner Brothers' Justice League Throne of Atlantis from Warner Brothers Animation premiered in movie theaters on this date 10 years ago today. So 10 years ago today, Warner Brothers' Justice League Throne of Atlantis premiered in movie theaters on this date 10 years ago today. And finally, on this date in 5 years ago today, in 2020, date 5 years ago today in 2020, WWE held its Monday Night Raw event from the Rupp Arena in Lexington, Kentucky. just under 2 weeks out from that year's Royal Rumble. The main event saw Seth Rollins and the Authors of Pain defeat Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, and Big Show in a fist fight. Also, the Viking Raiders defeated the Singh brothers in a tag team match in about 35 seconds. Mojo Rawley defeated R-Truth to win the WWE 24/7 Championship. Charlotte Flair defeated Sarah Logan. And the night opened up with Drew McIntyre defeating Randy Orton and AJ Styles in a triple threat match. So with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Of course, we'll be coming, be back here tomorrow night with more Neat News. Also, this Sunday, Rick Piper will be joining me as we'll be looking back to comics that went on sale in April of 1940. April of 1940. This week, let's see, we did Holyoke last week. I believe, let's see. Well, I should have looked it up, but don't have it off the top of my head here. But with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.